Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the GioMoShow from 88.3 FM in the back room here in our podcasting studio here. As you can see, I am not alone here. I am with my executive producer, a character you've seen here before, Nino Mosheri. He's here for the second edition of Fraud Watch. How you doing, Nino?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm happy to get into it.
Happy to get into it as well. We got a lot of NBA to talk about. I had you on a little, I guess, the end of March. We had our first edition of Fraud Watch. And for those who aren't familiar, Fraud Watch is a series, a conversation topic, a little game that we play that discusses whether teams in any sport, but we're going to be talking about the NBA, whether they are on or off Fraud Watch. Meaning, are they who they thought we were or who we thought they were? Are they good? Are they not? Are they becoming a fraud? Are they not becoming a fraud? We discussed that here on Fraud Watch.
Mm-hmm. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it right away. So, the biggest person that we talked about last time we were on this was Anthony Davis. Mm-hmm. Is he on? Is he off? Where is he? He's all over the place. What do you think? Where do you think he is on Fraud Watch?
So he had a pretty good playoffs. All things considered, he had a pretty good playoffs. They made it to the conference finals, even though they started like 2-10 on the season.
Yeah.
Even though obviously the team is completely different than how it started, but still, that's very, very impressive. So, I listened back to our first talk.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of wavering on like what I really thought about Anthony Davis, and I've decided I think he's off of Fraud Watch.
You think so?
And the reason is I think now we really, really know who he is. He's your second best guy at best. He's not the guy you can ask to carry a team day to day, night for night, year for year.
Some would call him Day to Davis.
Day to Davis. It's the truth. It's the truth. And we thought it was just because of the injuries. No. Some days he just doesn't feel like showing up.
Exactly.
It's that simple.
And there was the stat line, I can't remember in which series, but it was clear as day. They had the stats of even-numbered games versus odd-numbered games. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't a joke. It was numbers that were showing that.
It was between the Memphis and the Warriors series. He would have a game of like 25 points, next game 12 points, next game 32 points, next game 17, you know? Yeah. He's just not he's consistently inconsistent.
Which is it's comical to me.
Mm-hmm. He just coasts. He coasts some nights. He just doesn't have the eye of the tiger. He doesn't really take it seriously. So now I think the whole world knows it.
Mm-hmm.
So in this very fluid Fraud Watch criteria,
and of course it's not set in stone. Of course, opinions can change.
It's a vibe. It's a feeling. Things change. But he's off of Fraud Watch, but for the wrong reason.
Yeah,
not because we think he's the alpha superstar that like he's expected to be his whole career. He's not. He won a ring because he was second best player next to the second best player of all time. Nothing wrong with that.
It's what it is. What it is.
Nothing wrong with that at all. But ranking him among LeBron's teammates all time, he's below Dwayne Wade.
Yeah.
Above Kyrie.
Right in the middle there. So you would say second place.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I could see that. For me, I was very impressed with at least some of the high points of Anthony Davis's games throughout the playoffs. And looking back at it, of course, the regular season, he's in and out. He's street clothes. He's always damaged. Davis.
He had a pretty good health-wise. He actually had a pretty good season at the last, the back half.
Right, and they had a good final stretch of it, and especially in the playoffs, he was available for most of them, and those highs were very high. So I personally was impressed with him, and I would agree that he's off Fraud Watch because we know what to expect now.
Exactly. So he's lying when he's saying he's thinking about retirement and all that.
I can't believe people believe that.
I don't think anybody does. Because LeBron's not going anywhere without a farewell tour.
Of course not.
No chance.
It's got to be a much bigger celebration and more. It's got to be bigger attention for it.
Of course, So he's not done yet, but once he's actually done or leaves the Lakers, whatever comes first, they're gonna have to figure out what they're gonna do as like their main alpha guy.
Yeah.
Night to night because. AD's probably going to do for the Lakers what he did for New Orleans, which is like maybe get you the playoffs a couple of years.
Yeah.
Maybe win you a series with the right matchup. But,
all right, I agree.
But, as a second best player, do a lot worse.
It's a pretty good second best player.
Top 20 player, maybe.
I would say so.
Top 20. I feel like that's fair.
Yeah.
And now we know. No question. No more questions about
The
it.
expectations are such that he's not a fraud of what we think he is. We know what it is now.
We know what it is.
So moving on to our next player that we're going to be talking about. Haven't seen him in a little bit because unfortunately the Mavericks didn't make the playoffs. But Luka Doncic was a big topic of our last discussion. Would you say after this regular season he's on or off fraud watch?
He's still. Well, that team was very bad.
Yeah.
I don't know if my take has changed from last time, but that team was very, very bad.
They sold the farm for Kyrie, and
that was a terrible idea.
That did not work
From the jump. That was just a bad idea. Yeah, the opinion hasn't really changed. I mean, he's firmly sitting in the fraud watch zone, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You know, I don't love him. I'm not a big fan. I'm not the biggest fan of him. He's like first team all complain to the refs.
Oh
probably the MVP of that conversation.
That's a good way to put it. Definitely top 5, like poutiest, like complaining, not focused on the next play.
It's
kind of
terrible.
Deal. I can't stand that.
It's awful. So I'm not a fan. I respect his skill, and I do like his game because it's like very different than most.
Oh yeah.
He's not like your average player. His game is totally different than everybody. But yeah, not really a fan of him. Well, yeah. The opinion hasn't changed obviously because there's not much to change about it. We're gonna see a lot of videos in the off season of him like doing cardio. There's already one that
doing
came
cardio,
out, doing cardio, trying to get in shape. So we'll see if it's like I've seen people compare it to Ben Simmons jump shot videos. Like if that ever really becomes like a real thing to happen, we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's still sitting in the fraud watch zone. He has probably the most reasonable path to get out
I would say so. Yeah.
because he was in the conference finals 2 years ago.
Exactly.
It was
Yeah.
just like not even a great team. It was just a competent team.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like I said, dipping his toes in the water. But
So moving on to another player who was in the playoffs, had a bit of an early exit, was Kevin Durant. Where would you put him on fraud watch?
that's a tough question.
Yeah.
He's another difficult case. I feel like he's not in. Oh my god, I don't know because you think about like the Warriors won another one without him. I think he's. I don't know. I go back and forth because it's just like as the years go by, and it's like, well, it's another year, no ring without Stephen Curry.
Another year without proving it. You know.
Mhm. I might even. I think he is on fraud watch. Unfortunately,
I would say he's inching towards it. Like the door's open, and he's thinking about going in. Like he's paused like at the door. I would say.
the more years of not like he got any farther than Steph in the playoffs. And Steph, they. Not to jump ahead of ourselves, but I think the Suns lost to like the future NBA champion. So you could take that for what it's worth, but it's just another year of no Stephen Curry, nothing to show for it. So he's sitting in that zone, and I don't even think he's the best player on that team anymore. Too, I think it's like Devin Booker's team firmly.
Yeah,
firmly.
Especially with Chris Paul on his way out due to age and injury. DeAndre Ayton is probably not going to be there much longer.
Yeah, I don't know what you do with him. I don't know what you do. Yeah, it's just a difficult conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, like, maybe we'll touch on it later, but and maybe I'll fill you in on this, but it's about to be a lot harder to build your roster when you have like two guys who make a lot of money. So, I don't know. Kevin Durant might just be he might be Steph Curry ringless for the rest of his career. Which I don't know I guess that would put him in fraud zone because
the expectation is that he could win one without him. An expectation that he set for himself by leaving Golden State.
So he might be a victim of his own ego or whatever. But it's fraud watch for him, unfortunately.
It's a tough case.
Yeah,
for sure. Moving on to another team with a tall guy that exited in the second round. This time on the East Coast, it's the Philadelphia 76ers, specifically Joel Embiid. We could talk about Embiid, and then we could also talk about like in the context of the rest of the 76ers.
Okay.
Fraud watch, yes or no?
Firmly, declaratively, the man is a fraud. That man is a fraud all the way through, plain and simple. I don't ever want to hear anybody say his name with Nikola Jokic ever again.
A player like him, like he is the shining example of why we have fraud watch.
It's another year of him being a total no-show in the playoffs. He was not good. I don't know if it's completely true, but I know there was a stretch he did not shoot as a big man, as a center.
Yep.
He did not shoot above 50% in a single game as a center.
That's kind of the job. That's the job description of a center.
And like I would listen back to our first episode. I was praising him like crazy because he was having this crazy regular season.
Right,
and then the playoffs start, and immediately it's just he just can't. I don't know what it is with him. I think maybe he checks out. Man, I got my trophy. I'm good this year. I don't know what it is with him, but he was just done as soon as it started. And like there's no more excuses for this guy. I mean,
what else does he need?
He's got what Jokic. It'll be so funny. We'll touch on this later, but it'll be so funny if Jokic walks away with a ring, and after all that whining and crying he did during the regular season about never winning the trophy, never winning MVP, and look at him now. He just finds himself in the same spot, a Game 7 loss in round 2.
Yep.
It's like the third year out of 4 where he loses that exact same way, and like just being totally underwhelming. Just really got carried by James Harden.
Old James Harden somehow gave that 76ers team a fighting chance.
He kept them. He's the reason that series. He's the reason that series was. I mean, the Celtics kind of quit for a game, but like, he carried them for stretches. James Harden, who's like also known terrible playoff performer, kept them alive. It was like the Bizarro world for him. It was a Twilight Zone for him. But Joel Embiid, and now we know about the Celtics team too.
Yes.
Which we'll also touch on.
Oh yeah, we'll get that next.
But yeah, Embiid firmly a fraud, nowhere near as close as Nikola Jokic. If you want to win a couple regular season games, you want to get some big games where he's, dunking on guys, cool, whatever. But you're not getting any hardware with that guy.
I've seen a stat. I can't remember the numbers, but it was 2 things. Joel Embiid became the first MVP to lose to not go to the Eastern Conference Finals, or to not go to the conference finals.
Right.
He also became the how would you say the number 1 player that has the biggest drop from regular season to playoffs, or I think for an MVP, meaning basically you win the MVP. He's like the worst MVP in the playoffs. Let's say that's
they were
a
saying
good way
that
to
about
sum it up.
Jokic. They were saying Jokic was the worst MVP of all time. Some people on TV were. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know where they get these jobs, but they're saying he's the worst MVP of all time. And look at him now; he's had one of the most insane runs you've ever seen.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and he's one of these runs, and like at least for the regular season, it's been 3 years in a row. It's been business as usual. For
Embiid's
Jokic.
one of these guys who lives and dies by the whistle, and like his buddy James Harden, who might be going to Houston. Well, I don't know what's going on with that.
That would be insane.
It's real. I mean, like there's real talk about it. It might really happen. I mean, why would Ime Udoka, previous coach of the Celtics who went to the finals, why would he go to Houston? That team was second worst team in the league to Detroit.
Yeah.
Why would you go there? I would if I was him, I'd be like, well, I'm obviously a really good coach.
I have the resume, at least the recent resume for it.
In my first year as a coach, even though it was a very good team, obviously, but in my first year as a coach, I took a team to Game 6 of the finals. So why would I want to go and coach a bunch of young bums,
a bunch of like half college, high school kids, the young
right. So
like whatever team.
He must know that they must have said, hey, listen, you're gonna be coaching James Hart. Which even then, it's like why?
That's not even that big of an attraction.
He's old now. Yeah, I don't know how much they're paying. Maybe they're paying him something absurd, but I don't know. I mean, maybe his reputation after the whole Boston thing is so tough that he's like, well, this is the only head coaching job I can get.
It could have been process of elimination.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, but in my head, it's to go back to Embiid. Yeah, now Embiid's gonna be stuck. No James Harden. He's gonna have his MVP finally.
Yeah,
but it's just gonna be another year of him not showing up, and so he's not one of the top tier guys when the playoffs start. It's simple as that. I don't know what it is. I wish I could talk to one of these players and be like, what is why are the playoffs so different? Why do some guys just completely disappear?
Yeah.
I get that stakes are higher, but it's like
this consistently, right? There's gotta be something more to it.
Like you guys play these games some guys. I just don't get how some guys can't figure it out after so many years. Like Harden can't. You've been in this for like 15 years.
Yeah.
So I guess just Embiid is just forever going to be one of those guys. Maybe when he gets old, he'll be second fiddle Anthony Davis style to I don't know, maybe a prime Luka Doncic or something. I don't know. We'll see, but he's definitely not that guy.
Would you say that the 76ers, that kind of run, the second round exits, would you say that's because of Doc Rivers coaching?
Well, it doesn't.
I'm curious, where does he place? I guess he could be our next subject to Fraud Watch. Where does Doc Rivers place?
Has he been hired yet? I don't think he has.
I don't think so either. No.
I mean, I think it's Doc's fault too. I mean, it's one of those things. It's like when people say, "Well, Tom Brady had insane luck his whole career." It's like, yeah, but he kept winning.
Yeah.
At some point, you got to be like, well, you're the common denominator for all these wins. Even if it's luck and all these things have happened, you're still the common denominator for all this. Same thing goes with Doc Rivers. Like, yeah, people are like, yeah, well, Chris Paul, when he was with the Clippers, Chris Paul and Blake Griffin kept getting injured. That's why they kept losing. Philly, James Harden and Embiid didn't show up. All these things happen that aren't his fault. But then, I would submit the Clippers with Kawhi and Paul George, Kawhi, who's known as one of the best playoff performers every single year except for when he's with Doc Rivers. What's up with that? So, I mean, Doc Rivers isn't solely to blame, but it's what's the phrase? You can edit this, right?
Yes, I can edit it.
Okay.
Yo, I'm Jake Masucci from Jake's Takes. I wanted to talk a little bit about my show on my guy Giovanni's own show. And I wanted to talk about a little bit about Jake's Takes. I'm a student manager at Oakland University, and I kind of just talk all things sports. I talk a lot about the NBA, talk a little college basketball. We did a lot of March Madness stuff recently. We talked about NBA playoffs, NFL playoffs, talked a lot about the NFL draft. It's basically just an all things sports show. I really think you guys would enjoy it. And shout out to my guy Giovanni. Love him. But please check out Jake's Takes. It's available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and then it's also available on its own YouTube channel. So please check out Jake's Takes, but please continue enjoying Giovanni's show.
Regular suspect. That's what I was thinking. Regular
A
suspect.
regular suspect.
Yes. Thank you. Jesus. So yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
It's Doc. I mean, yeah, it's regular suspects. Of course, Doc Rivers is always there.
He leads the NBA history with the most Game 7 losses.
Right.
He has 10.
And he keeps getting jobs.
That too.
He's in the interviews. He's in the interviews for the Suns job. He was in the interviews for Milwaukee. I don't know. There was a bunch of coaches got fired, so I don't know who else he was talking to.
Right.
But it's he's in the interviews still. How has nobody been you seem to lose a lot.
Yeah.
With really good teams. He's always got really, really, really good teams.
That too.
It took a prime Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce to get his one championship. He should have 3. When you see these rosters,
Yeah.
it's unbelievable. So I don't think he's probably not going to end up with a job this time just because I think the vacancies are all filled.
Yeah.
But it's he was still in the mix for a couple.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think the Phoenix job has been taken yet. So it's he's still not out. But it's enough on Doc Rivers.
Yeah, it's what a wild career he's had for sure. Moving on, let's go to the Sacramento Kings, a team that lost in the first round to the Golden State Warriors, but were the 3rd seed in the West and had the Coach of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
So for the Kings and their run, first time they were in the playoffs in 16 years, the clutch player of the year,
Right.
being on their team, Darren Fox. All that being considered, where would you put the Kings on Fraud Watch?
Not even close. Massive success. They took even though they're not the same team as last year, they took the reigning champion to Game 7. And De'Aaron Fox broke his thumb or whatever on his finger on his shooting hand.
Yeah.
And he was their best player by far. I think they win the series if not for that.
I think so too, especially if it got, going to Game 7, having such a difference.
It was a Game 7 at home.
That too, of course.
So, yeah. And that building is that building was crazy.
Dude.
I hope they keep it up because that building was crazy.
That the light the I wouldn't say gimmick, but the light the beam gimmick is insane. For some reason, I love it so much. It's hype. You see it up in the sky, light the beam, and they press the big button. I love that.
Because NBA teams don't really have the same connection with the community as like NFL teams, for example. Like, your average person on the street is not really talking about what the Pistons are doing around here, right?
Or at least not in Detroit.
Not in Detroit.
Certain
but like,
cities have their preferences, but for the most part,
Like
it's
the
a
Lakers are
football
the biggest
country.
thing in LA. But like the point of that being is like, Sacramento. Like Sacramento's the Kings are the only team in that city, I think, unless there's a hockey team I don't know about. But I don't think. No, I was thinking the LA Kings. They have the same name. But,
right.
So it's just really cool to see a team do like a thing to like get the community like involved. That's what was really cool about it. It's like now they'll get the fans really excited. So I hope they keep it up for at least a little while. Maybe if they can stay good consistently, they'll make like the Beam a playoff game thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was very cool. I definitely liked them a lot. They were definitely fun to watch. I really, really hate that, of course, the Warriors got to sneak away with another lucky injury.
Yeah, and it took a 50,
in their favor.
It took a, at the time, record-breaking 50-point performance in a Game 7 by Steph Curry
when they were up 20 the whole game.
I know, like you knew, like with that lead, like towards the end of the game, he like has it, like Steph's got all these points here. It's like, oh, he's just gonna keep going. The points are such that he's just gonna keep going.
I mean, yeah, no pressure.
Yeah.
And that's when he's at his most dangerous. I mean, like, yeah, front runner is an insult, but if you want to swing in a positive way, you say he's a closer. You know what I mean?
You could say he's a closer, but there's also the stat of he's 0-14 for game-winning shots.
Right, right.
There's more specifics to that stat, but
which is
basically he's never made a game-winning shot at least in the playoffs.
I know. You've been to how many playoff games? You haven't got one
out of 14 chances.
Yeah. So he's
So
he's always
closer
been a
might not be the right word, but I see what you mean. If you are
if you
able
want
to get a
swing
lead,
the front running title in a positive way, you would say he's a closer, which he obviously is, because closing a game meaning obviously you're putting the game away.
Yes.
So
and it might that they do that by getting such a big lead, unsurmountable lead by the end of the game.
Which obviously him just burying threes. Like you can say, well, he's the cause of the leads. Yeah, which is true.
Yeah.
But, anyway, it's enough about the Warriors.
Enough about the Warriors. We weren't even supposed to talk. We weren't even supposed to talk about the Warriors. So I want to get to the teams that are in the teams that are in the finals.
Mm-hmm.
We touched a little bit on the Lakers. We touched a little bit on Boston.
Mm-hmm.
Or
did you touch on Boston?
Not as much as we wanted to actually. Let's get to Boston next. I remember we were saving that towards the end here. So
right.
Let's talk about the Celtics. A lot to go into for this one. Losing in Game 7 in embarrassing fashion at home to the Heat, the 8 seed Heat.
Mm-hmm.
A lot to go into. Where the Celtics rank on Fraud Watch? Where are they?
They're frauds. They're frauds. Specifically, Jaylen Brown. I was always a Jaylen Brown over Jason Tatum guy because I just feel like I like his game a little bit better. But he was second team All NBA and he can't dribble. Like
you saw that highlight they had. It's saying like, oh, he wants this much money and he can't dribble left.
He can't.
It shows so many turnovers of him specifically going on his left hand.
Yeah, he wants $300 million over the next 5 years. Yeah, he can't. He just straight up can't dribble. He's getting the ball. He's getting his pocket picked constantly.
Yeah,
and it doesn't even look difficult. It's just like, boop, got it.
It looks like me trying to play pickup.
It looks like a guy who's not that good at pickup, trying to tween between his legs the whole time. It's insane. It's like embarrassing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's gonna go into the season. He's probably the Celtics are gonna be like, dude, we have like 2 playoff runs worth of footage of you just like losing the ball constantly for no reason. The Warriors did it to you. The Heat did it to you. Like smart teams just can take you out of games basically.
Yeah. If you lose the ball, you don't have the ball to score.
Exactly.
It's
you're
simple.
turning it over. You're hurting it.
Yeah. There's no worse thing to have than turnovers.
Right. So, Jaylen Brown is a fraud. I mean, but I don't. Here's the problem: is what are you going to replace him with?
Right.
So I don't know what you do if you're the Celtics. Jason Tatum, I don't really like him. But I feel like the game goes different if he doesn't tweak his ankle.
You know what? I hear that and I don't disagree with it. However, we've seen so many times. He had the Game 7, 51 points against the 76ers. But we kind of talked about it's kind of against the 76ers. So that might have, you could say that has a little asterisk.
Yeah, they laid down and died so quickly. But.
So you can say that, but there was many games in that series, in this one as well, where he just doesn't show up. He goes 0 for 9 for the first 3 quarters, but then has a few points at the end, and it makes him look good. So for him to have an ankle tweak at the beginning of the game, who's to say that it just wasn't going to be one of those inconsistent no-show games?
That's true.
So for me, the ankle tweak, I don't see it as a big factor because that could have happened anyway. That a performance like that, he was 5 for 13, 1 for 4 from 3. That could have happened anyway.
Could have been a healthy game. Yeah, that's true.
It easily could have been a healthy game.
That's true. Yeah, you can't really pencil it in, and it was a pretty big blowout.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, they had the momentum. They had that crazy game winner in Game 6 that like saved their season.
I can't believe how that went down.
That was unbelievable, and the fact that they lost the series.
Yeah.
That's like a team of destiny type of thing.
It is.
I was like, well, Miami has to be like cooked after this,
right?
Like, how can you wake up for a game after that going away?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I guess it's a big unknown, but still, I mean, it doesn't. He definitely wasn't as like capable as he could have been. So I don't know. You got a point.
Yeah,
he could have just not shown up.
We could say both things could be true. It could have been one of those below average nights, but then also with the ankle tweak.
Right.
Well, you could say that as well.
They're not that good at home either. They were below 500 in the playoffs at home,
which makes no sense in a city that has so much successful basketball and so much rich history.
Yeah.
In the playoffs, you can't win at home.
They just don't like it.
I've never heard of something like that before, to where it's a disadvantage to be home.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't get. They're soft mentally. It's that simple. They can't. Their game plan was just chuck threes. That's pretty much all they did.
Oh,
saw
the offense was like non-existent.
You saw like Marcus Smart like dribbling it, taking one step in and then dribbling it back to shoot a three and brick it. Like
yeah,
they just the coaching wasn't great. Just everything wasn't great. That team is just another year. Those guys just disappointing. They'll probably have to run it back because like, what are you gonna?
Well, yeah. What else is there?
What are you gonna do?
I've been hearing talks of moving Jaylen Brown and staying with Tatum, but there's so much stuff that could happen with the Celtics, at least in the offseason.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a big Tatum guy, and yeah, you're right. I just don't. I feel like he's the better. I feel like you got a higher ceiling with that guy because he doesn't turn the ball over like crazy.
It goes to show how bad a turnover is.
It's just so. It's because they're pathetically bad. They're like bad turnovers.
It's hilarious.
Really
it's hilarious.
Turnovers.
Really.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know where you go from there. You trade for Dame. I mean, not that Dame probably still doesn't want to be traded, but
right.
Would you do Jaylen Brown for Damian Lillard straight up?
Straight up, not if I'm Portland.
Not if you're Portland.
I'd want like, let's say like a lower end draft pick for it. I mean, it needs something else because if you're doing straight up, I think that Portland's losing that one and they're not going to do that, or they shouldn't do that.
That's true. Would you do? I don't know, 2 first rounders unprotected.
So Boston sending 2 first rounders for Damian Lillard.
Yeah, he's not that old.
I'd be more tempted than the straight up.
Right.
I'd be more inclined than the straight up.
I don't want Boston to get Dame.
Me neither.
I would like Dame to be on a successful team.
Me too.
So I would take that if I'm Damian. I don't know. He doesn't seem like he wants to leave still even now. So I don't know. But
yeah, he seems stubborn with it. He seems to have made up his mind. But I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's just it doesn't look likely right now. So. Moving on to our next item of Fraud Watch. We saved this one to the end. We wanted to talk about, and we touched on it already, Jokic and the Nuggets.
Yeah, Jokic.
We touched on this a lot in the Embiid segment, but I wanted to go over this again.
Probably the best player in the NBA right now.
I think so.
And okay, I'll save it for after the Jokic spiel. But yeah, I think Jokic is just right now, as it stands, he's probably the best player in the NBA right now.
I think so.
He just had like an insanely dominant run. He was the only people that gave him trouble were like Devin Booker and Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
While Devin Booker was on like an insane, like one of the hottest hot streaks you've ever seen.
It was like 70% from the field.
He couldn't miss. He was incredible up until that last game where they got blown out at home.
Yeah.
He was unbelievable the entire time. He was like the one man offense and like he took him to 6.
Yeah.
But that duel where Jokic had 50. Obviously he's
Yeah, 50 and a loss, I believe.
50 in the loss. That was probably one of the most fun games I've ever watched in my life.
Yeah.
I was just it was insane. You look at he obviously smoked the Timberwolves,
Oh yeah.
which it's supposed to be Gobert, who's like the best defensive center. I mean, still, I don't know if he still is at this point, but
yeah, him for me. You want 5 seconds of Rudy Gobert fraud watch? Yes or no?
he's not even a fraud. Everybody kind of knows he's not that.
He's past fraud watch. He's just in fraud territory.
You know what he is.
He's been there at least for a year and a half. We'll say.
Yeah,
he's been there.
We know what he is.
Yeah.
But either way, he should have been a guy who can give Yoke trouble. No. Anthony Davis probably the best defensive center right now. Actually,
I would say
probably
so.
number one. So he, it's not like it was a cakewalk for him, even though they were the 1 seed. Smoked Anthony Davis, just giving him work like crazy. I mean, he's like a supercomputer. He's a passing machine. His touch is insane. Like he put the ball in the hoop from like any angle with his arms.
He could
shoot.
He looks like he's made of like rubber. He's like
flicks
elastic.
his arm. He's like one of those air balloons outside of a car dealership. But like it's just splash goes right in.
Yeah.
He could shoot. He was like 50% from three for the playoffs.
He would make these wacky threes. I remember against the Lakers where it was the shot clock was winding down, and he just threw it up over Anthony Davis. Goes in.
Larry Bird flicks it behind the head, splash goes right in. It's unbelievable. So he's number one, and Jamal Murray.
What a run he's been having.
He's also on just an insane heater. He's another guy who looks like he can't miss right now.
Yeah.
I'm hoping full healthy year for that guy because. He's definitely when the playoffs are done and assuming the finals go how I think they will, we should be looking at that guy a little more like in the Devin Booker range.
I would agree. Because I remember the last time we really saw him was in the bubble when the Nuggets made the Western Conference Finals.
Right. I don't know how much of that one season he played before he tore his ACL. But I don't think he was even this good. People were saying he's Bubble Murray and all that. It's like, no, that's just
not. I would say
Murray.
Not,
just how
not
he
anymore.
Is.
This playoffs proved that otherwise.
He's just that good.
Got it for people who thought he was fraud watch because it's just that flash in the pan 2020. Off fraud watch now.
No chance. Yeah, he's that good. He's that good. Those guys should handle business really.
I think so. So, do you want to get into the finals now?
Yeah.
Nuggets and Heat.
Mm-hmm.
Something that we've been looking forward to personally. I did not want to see Lakers and Celtics.
I mean, I don't think I would have minded this is I hate the Lakers and I hate the Celtics, but and it would kind of be cool to see old LeBron get a ring, and I thought the Lakers team was I liked it. I thought they were fun.
Yeah, I like more the Lakers than the Celtics. So I mean,
I would have rooted for them.
Yeah, repeat of 2020 would be Lakers Heat. I would have been perfectly
that
cool
would
with
have been pretty cool.
But if it was Lakers and Celtics, then you have three of the most inconsistent players in the league going at it, and it's just a complete crapshoot. I don't think I would have enjoyed that.
It would have
been frustrating.
I would have liked it more than Golden State. Golden State Celtics.
Oh, anything with Golden State.
That was one of the more boring. I just wasn't. I was checked out. I
one. Yeah, I didn't really.
It was like Hitler versus Stalin. It's okay, who cares?
Yeah, evil will win anyway.
Yeah. So but anyway, Nuggets Heat. I'm very excited. I'll be happy with the outcome no matter what happens.
Yep.
Either Jimmy Butler gets a ring. And just elevates his status all time by so much.
Yeah.
Or Jokic kind of solidifies who we think he is as a 2-time MVP. It puts him in the Giannis zone. Obviously.
Absolutely.
It puts him in the Giannis zone, which is where
I guess you could say trophy wise,
yeah, he's
exactly. Just
other than
he got Giannis got Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, Giannis has more hardware, but.
It's still really comparable.
It's a real discussion in my head now of who's better, Giannis or Jokic.
Yeah,
it could be just because we haven't seen Giannis in so long, and just because of how that playoff exit went. That we could start next season and be like, wow, Giannis is still the best player by far.
Yeah.
But as of right now, I mean, you got to look at what Jokic is doing and say this guy is better than everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's on his level right now. Nobody can do the stuff that he can do.
You can't stop him. You can only handle him, or
you
you
can't
can't
hope
stop
to
him.
contain him. But even
Hope
then,
to
you
contain.
can't really.
Yeah.
Because his passing is so good that, like, if you say we're gonna sell out, we're gonna send 2 guys to him every time, he'll just find the open guy every time.
That's his strength. Is
like-
finding other people.
He's a fat Serbian 7-foot Magic Johnson. Like it's
He is.
it's
He is.
insane. So, yeah, it's just I think no matter what, I think it'll be fun.
I think it'll be fun too, and I'm gonna need you to not roll your eyes at me real quick.
Okay.
But for the Oakland side of things,
Sure.
I'm ashamed I didn't know it already, but Mike Malone spent back in the day, I can't remember what year, but he did spend a year coaching under Greg Campy at Oakland as an assistant coach before going to Villanova. He makes the finals. You have Jamal Cain, one of Oakland's superstars from last year's season. Don't roll your eyes, please.
okay.
It'll hurt my feelings. You have Jamal Cain that played on Oakland for his last season here. Now, bench player on the Heat. So, from an Oakland perspective, Oakland's going to win a ring in the loosest way possible, but it's factual.
I mean, all right, yeah.
All I need to
The Jamal Cain thing is more valid than the Mike Malone thing.
all I'm saying
personally,
it's factual. That's all I'm
but
saying.
it's true. I mean, you're not lying.
Factual
gotta
technicality.
draw a line.
It is such.
Sure.
But for me, I'm excited for this series. That was a big. I mean, you just watch the Nuggets. It's fun to watch. It's a circus in a beautiful way. The way Jokic runs it, and the fire that Jamal Murray plays with. You go to the Heat. Just the fact that the 8th seed is in the finals. It's the second time it's ever happened. You get Jimmy Butler, who I'm a huge fan of. He's just like a fun player to watch. Press conferences, he's like eye the tiger. Just awesome to root for, and I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. Do you have any predictions for like winner and in how many games? Do you have that off the top of your head?
Nuggets in 5.
In 5.
I think the Heat have got to be cooked physically at this point.
They've been playing a long time.
They almost blew. We haven't even said it yet. They almost blew the unblowable lead.
Exactly.
Like it, the Celtic they're lucky the Celtics just like hate Boston.
Yeah.
And just they hate being there and they play worse when they're there.
That place cleared out real quick.
I know. Imagine paying all that money for a Game 7 in the conference finals and then your team just doesn't even barely puts up a fight at all. Derek White is the only one who showed up at all.
There should be a waiver on those tickets saying it might not be
really.
good.
Yeah, money back.
So you say Nuggets in 5?
I'm saying Nuggets in 5. I could even see it in 4. I mean, I just don't think that Bam's just not going to be able to. Bam's not going to be able to hang with Jokic. It's just no chance.
It's such a bad matchup. Just size wise, it's a bad matchup.
Jokic is so much bigger than him. I mean,
Bam couldn't even back down Derek White. We saw that a few times in the Celtics game. He couldn't even back down, the Celtics Q-tip
I know.
and go to the rim.
Bam's just not. He's just he's got bad hands, dude. He can't.
He was dropping a lot of passes.
He's just every time. Maybe I'm just misremembering, but it's just I felt like every time he had the ball, he's just gonna. He didn't catch the flack for it that Jaylen Brown did because people don't look at him the same way they look at Jaylen Brown. But yeah, I feel like just every time he had the ball, it's just he's just losing it, or it's a bad pass that he's lucky didn't get turned over, just stuff like that. If Caleb Martin saved him and Jimmy Butler's legacy.
Oh my God, yeah.
By just taking all the negative attention off of them.
Yes.
They were Jimmy Butler had some, even though he won the
Eastern Conference MVP, I guess was a short way to call it.
He had some stinkers. He had some stinkers in there. But I don't think that Bam's gonna have any chance against Jokic. I mean, Jokic isn't a great defender, so maybe the Celtics are just really good at guarding him, and maybe he eats a little bit, but
the Heats are gonna have to just match the offense. They can't stop the Nuggets offense. I could see it going that way.
I mean, the thing is as I think about it, I'm well, they're the 8th seed in the finals, so it's
against the 1 seed.
You're gonna pick Milwaukee against them, pick the Knicks against them, pick the Celtics against them. Look at them; they're in the finals again. So, maybe in 5 maybe they even can win. Maybe it's Nuggets in 6 even.
I would say Nuggets in 6 just because I can see Jimmy Butler having at least one explosive Jimmy Butler game.
Yeah.
That will account for at least one win. And then maybe
You get a hot shooting night.
maybe the Heat get a hot shooting night. You get more Duncan Robinson. You get Caleb Martin again. You get kind of those guys going.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see that accounting for at least one game. Maybe the Nuggets struggle in Miami. Maybe the threes aren't falling or something. I could just in 6 seems more comfortable as a pick. I could see the Heat squeaking out 2 wins, but I don't think it's I don't think it's gonna go to Game 7. There's no chance.
I don't know.
That'll say no chance. Game 7.
As I sit here and think about it, I'm like, well, okay, you could just get a coaching masterclass.
Eric Spoelstra is good for one.
Exactly. Like I don't know what you would. It's so hard to predict. I mean, like obviously, all things considered, you can't just say like, yeah, the Nuggets will probably just walk all over them because look at everybody's picking against them the whole time. Look what they're on now. So I don't know. I could literally see any scenario playing. I feel like it'll play out the way the 2020 finals against the Lakers played out, where maybe you get some monster, you get 2 monster Jimmy Butler games.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
one of
not
them
enough.
ends up in a win, and
maybe it's just not enough. But
so if you had to pin one right now,
I can't. I feel.
I'd say Nuggets in 6. That's
I'm
the
gonna
one
say
I'll hammer
Nuggets in
down.
5 still, but I
In
could
5.
see it. I could see it going to 7. I just don't think the Nuggets will. I don't think they'll lose. Them losing, that would be insane.
Oh, that would
be
the fraud watch conversation. That will put something on it.
Yeah, I mean, I might have to walk back what I said for sure, but as it stands, yeah, I mean, like the most comfortable for me is Nuggets in 5. I depending on how things go, you can see it Nuggets in 4.
Yeah,
Nuggets in 7.
you can argue
I could see
you can
Heat
argue
in
anything.
7 even.
Yeah,
I wouldn't put money on Heat in 7, but I could see it. Like we could be sitting here in like 2 weeks, like wow, Jimmy Butler was really. We were calling him the son of Michael Jordan a week ago.
Yeah,
And it's like, wow, it's just really true. He's really that guy.
the pictures are really close. They look alike, man.
Yeah, I know. It is pretty funny, but I don't know. It's hard to predict. It's hard to predict, which is the most fun.
Yes, it is. When you get 2 teams that you like,
Mhm.
and anything can happen,
And I'm happy
you're gonna
either
ask for
way.
better finals.
Yeah, second finals in 3 years. You know, nothing to sneeze at.
No, not for
Yeah,
sure.
but also so is a back-to-back MVP with a fully healthy team.
Yeah.
with a couple of days.
With like a
days rest.
Yeah, they finished up really quick, and then
Right.
just been waiting on the.
So
Wait on
that
the East.
probably hurts them too, because probably that's what I'm saying. They might be physically cooked.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I don't know.
We're gonna see. We're definitely gonna see. It's gonna be a great finals. I can't wait to watch it. We'll be covering it definitely here on the GioMoShow, and I'll get your input on the finals as well when we get back from the series. But until then, that's gonna be it for this episode of the GioMoShow here in the back room with my executive producer Nino Mosheri talking about Fraud Watch and the NBA Finals. Thank you to everybody for listening. You can listen to the GioMoShow live Thursdays at 6 on WXOU. We'll be right back on the GioMoShow.